Last time, we discovered something that quietly shapes every area of our lives. We learned that distraction doesn't just steal our attention, it slowly steals the life we were hoping to build. One notification, one interruption, one moment at a time. But today, I want to ask you something even more important. What if your greatest distraction isn't your phone? What if it's the comments you've accepted, the expectations you've carried, the conversations you've continued, the obligations you've never questioned? What if the greatest thief of time isn't something that's been taken from you, but something you've been giving away? Because every time you give someone your time, you're giving a piece of your life. And unlike money, you can never earn it back. Today, we're talking about how to stop giving your time away and start protecting the life you're trying to build. Welcome to Mindset, Momentum, and Intention. If you've been following the Time Advantage series, thank you. Every chapter builds on the last because lasting change isn't created through one dramatic decision. It's created through intentional choices made consistently. In chapter 1, we discover that time is your most valuable currency. In chapter 2, we uncover where that time is actually going. In chapter 3, we learn that distraction quietly steals our attention. Today, we're taking the next step because even after you eliminate distractions, you still have to decide who and what deserves access to your life. Most people believe they own their time, but do they? Think about yesterday. How many hours were spent doing things you intentionally chose? Not work, not responsibilities that genuinely matter, not caring for the people you love. I'm talking about everything else. The unnecessary meeting, the conversation you didn't know how to leave, the obligation you accepted because saying no felt uncomfortable, the favor you agreed to, even though you were already exhausted, the endless checking of messages, the expectation that you should always be available. None of these moments seem significant by themselves. They're only minutes. But life isn't lived in years. Life is lived in minutes. And those minutes become your days. Your days become your habits. Your habits become your future. Here's something I've come to believe. Every yes writes your calendar, and every calendar writes your life. Take a moment and really think about that. If someone looked at your calendar without ever meeting you, what would they believe matters most to you? Would they see a life built around purpose, family, health, growth, peace? Or would they see a life built around urgency, stress, other people's priorities, endless availability? Because your calendar tells you the truth, even when your words don't. I'd like you to imagine something. Imagine a complete stranger followed you for the last 30 days. They never spoke to you, they never read your journal, they never listened to your goals, they simply watched where your time went. At the end of those 30 days, what would they say matters most to you? Not what you hope matters, not what you wish mattered. What would your life actually reveal? Would your actions match your intentions, or would they tell two very different stories? Sometimes the greatest gap in our lives isn't between where we are and where we want to be. It's between what we say we value and what we consistently give our time to. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and finding your front door wide open. A stranger walks inside, they smile politely, pick up one chair, and walk back out. You never allow that to happen. The next day, someone else comes in, they take your dining table. The day after that, someone carries away your favorite book, then your couch, then your bed. Eventually, your house is almost empty. No one forced their way in. The door was simply never closed. Now, let me ask you something. Why are we so careful about protecting our homes, yet so careless about protecting our time? Every unnecessary comment, every unhealthy expectation, every obligation accepted out of guilt, every moment you stay somewhere your heart has already left. It's another piece of your life walking out the front door, not because people are bad, not because they intended to take advantage of you, but because the door was never closed. That's what boundaries really are. They're not walls, they're not punishment, they're not about loving people less. They're the front door to your life. They help you decide who enters, what stays, what no longer belongs. Healthy boundaries aren't built from anger. They're built from clarity, from knowing what matters most, from understanding that your purpose deserves protection and that protecting your time isn't selfish. It's responsible, because no one else can guard the life you've been given the way you can. People often think boundaries push others away. I believe healthy boundaries do something very different. They make room for what matters. When you stop giving your time to everything, you finally have time for the things that deserve the best, your family, your health, your calling, your peace, your dreams, your relationship with yourself. And perhaps that's the greatest gift boundaries ever give us. Not less life, but more of the life we were meant to live. There is one reason many of us give our time away. It isn't because we don't care about our future. It isn't because we're lazy, and it isn't because we're weak. It's because we feel guilty. We feel guilty for saying no, guilty for disappointing someone, guilty for protecting our own time. So we say yes again and again and again. Not because it's the right decision, but because it feels like the easier one. For a moment, saying yes relieves the discomfort. But eventually, that temporary relief becomes long-term regret, because every unnecessary yes quietly takes away from something that matters more. Here's something I've learned. Kindness and people-pleasing are not the same thing. Kindness is choosing to help when it aligns with your values. People-pleasing is sacrificing yourself because you're afraid of disappointing others. One comes from generosity, the other comes from fear. And fear is a poor guide for building a meaningful life. People often think saying no closes doors. Sometimes it opens the right ones. Every time you say no to something that doesn't align with your purpose, you're creating space to say yes to something that does. Yes to your health, yes to your family, yes to learning, yes to rest, yes to your dreams, yes to becoming the person you're capable of becoming. Think of your life like a garden. If every seed is allowed to grow, soon the weeds begin choking the flowers. Not because flowers are weak, but because the garden was never tended. Your calendar works the same way. If everything receives your attention, nothing receives your best. Protecting your time isn't about doing less. It's about making room for what matters most. I'd like you to picture something. Imagine that someone gave you a beautiful glass jar. They told you this jar represents your life. Every morning, the jar is filled with 24 golden stones. One stone for every hour you've been given that day. Now imagine that every time you say yes to something, you place one stone into another person's hands. Some stones go to your family, some to your work, some to your health, some to your purpose, but others, without even realizing it, go to guilt, to fear, to endless scrolling, to unnecessary obligations, to trying to be everything for everyone. By the end of the day, the jar is empty. Now ask yourself, when the day is over, who received most of your stones? And did they deserve them? There is a common misunderstanding about boundaries. People often believe boundaries are part of pushing others away. I don't see them that way. Healthy boundaries are invitations. They invite respect. They invite honesty. They invite healthier relationships. Most importantly, they invite peace. Because peace isn't found by doing more. Peace is found by protecting what matters. Psychologists have long observed that people who struggle to maintain healthy boundaries are more likely to experience chronic stress, emotional exhaustion, and burnout. In other words, boundaries aren't just about managing your calendar. They're an important way of caring for your mental and emotional well-being. When you protect your time, you're also protecting your energy, your relationships, your ability to fully be present. The people who truly care about you will benefit from the healthiest version of you, not the most exhausted one. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. You've become calmer, more intentional, less reactive. You no longer feel pressured to answer every message immediately. You no longer say yes simply because you're uncomfortable saying no. You make decisions based on purpose, not pressure. You have time to read, to think, to laugh, to exercise, to sit quietly with people you love. You have margin, space to breathe, space to grow, space to notice the beauty that was always there. That life doesn't happen by accident. It happens because one day you decided your time deserved protection. And little by little, your life began to reflect that decision. I'd like to leave you with a simple challenge. For the next 24 hours, pay attention to every time you say yes. Before you answer, pause, take one slow breath, then ask yourself one question. Is this aligned with the life I'm trying to build? If the answer is yes, say yes wholeheartedly. If the answer is no, remember this. A respectful no isn't selfish. Sometimes it's the most honest yes you can give to your future. Don't judge yourself. Just notice your patterns because awareness always comes before change. One day, no one will remember how quickly you answer every text message. No one will remember how available you were every hour of the day. No one will remember every meeting you attended or every obligation you accepted, but they will remember the life you built, the memories you created, the moments you were fully present, the dreams you finally pursued, the peace you carried, the kindness you shared, and the person you became. Protect your time, not because every moment needs to be productive, but because every moment is part of your life, and your life is worth protecting. If today's chapter encouraged you, I'd love for you to continue this journey with us. Here at Mindset, Momentum, and Intention, we're learning that extraordinary lives aren't built through extraordinary moments. They're built through ordinary choices made with extraordinary intention. If this message spoke to you, subscribe and continue with us through the Time Advantage series. And if you'd like to help support the creation of these videos, you can do so through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Whether you subscribe, share this chapter with someone who needs to hear it, or simply spend today becoming a little more intentional with your time, thank you. It truly means more than you know. Before you go, I want to leave you with one thought. Today we learned that protecting your time means protecting your life. But even after we begin protecting our time, there's one final question. What do we do with the time we've reclaimed? Because creating a meaningful life isn't only about removing what does not belong. It's about intentionally investing in what does. That's exactly where we're headed in our chapter. I hope you join me. Protect your peace. Believe in your future. Move with intention. Build momentum. And remember this. Mindset shapes you. Momentum moves you. Intention guides you, because your future isn't created someday. It's being created today. One decision, one boundary, one intentional moment at a time.